Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real world experience in high stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may be triggering for some individuals. If you choose to continue, do so knowing this content is intended for mature audiences only. Discretion is advised. What's up, everybody? Can everybody hear me and see me good? Most importantly, hear me. It's been a week since I've been on, so would not be surprised if something's not working correctly. Awesome. And if you're on TikTok, if you would please share the live. There's nobody on there for some reason. And I just noticed one issue. So bear with me for 1 second. All right, we should be good to go now. So I know had tons of messages, and I know my team was getting a lot of messages, and I apologize. Like right after the live last Wednesday, I got so sick, and I've been down since. Today's the first day I have felt back to complete normal. But I did not get out of bed for over 3 days. So I hope no one gets it. It was an unwanted full body cleanse. But yeah, I was struggling, so I apologize. But we are back now, and I know there's so much new stuff that's came out, obviously, in a week. But I wasn't online at all, so I'm kind of in the dark about most things. My team has tried to catch me up with as much as possible. One thing, make sure you check out the full podcast that I did with the Director of Operations, Daniel Lynn, Director of Operations for Camille Place. And I finally got that up and live today. So you can find that on wherever you find your podcast. But the YT, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure you go check that out. It's really, really good. It's just like exactly, Christy. It's an amazing organization, and I'm so thrilled to be able to help promote that for them. And it was just so interesting learning about what they do. I had no idea they existed, and it's so therefore I know a lot of other people don't. It's an amazing organization. It is in the state of Alabama, and there's no sense in me going back through everything they do. That's on the podcast, but make sure you go check that out. And also, Daniel is also a wealth of information on helping protect your children from predators and from human trafficking, as he is on the front lines talking to these victims, survivors, talking to these survivors every single day, hearing their stories, knowing exactly what happened to them. And so he's a, again, wealth of information. And we talk about a lot of that. And he will be back on more often. So he was wanting to, and I want him to. When you finish watching that podcast, and the link to their website is in the description, the show description, make sure you go to their website. And I can't think of much. There's only a few charities that I ever donate to, and I can't think of many that are better than that one. And they're a 501c3 nonprofit, and obviously always needing help with donations. And you can go on their website and see everything that they need. If you, whether it be money or other things that they need, it's all listed on there and for you to sign up. And again, great organization that is literally changing lives every day. Well, I've missed all y'all as well. But I know a lot is not necessarily new stuff has come out, but some things have come out about Walker County with Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. And you have to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know of any brand new information that's come out about the ramp, the cult that we have been discussing intensely out of Hamilton, Alabama. But if anything has come out, y'all pass that along. I've gotten tons of information, but again, I'm very behind on my messages, and so I have not been able to really look and dig into most of that stuff. Tuscumbia police chief got a promotion. I saw that. I don't know what to say about it. If you're not familiar with the Tuscumbia police chief, and Tuscumbia is a small city in northwest Alabama in Colbert County. Also happens to be the birthplace of Helen Keller. But a good little city. Very cool. Downtown. Their police department struggles. If you've been following me for a while, you've heard me talk about them. I've seen firsthand how untrained their agency is for the most part. And their police chief has more issues. My goodness. The guy's had a lot of issues. I believe he has a doctorate. And if you have a doctorate and you're the police chief at Tuscumbia, which is a extremely small agency that pays nothing, I don't know how much their officers are making right now, but I know just a few years ago, say 2023, some of their officers were making barely $10 an hour. So extremely low paid, not worth no one should do that job for that. No one. But you get what you pay for in that business. And I've always said that. But that should tell you a lot about their police chief, that he's got a doctorate, tons of experience, but he's the police chief there making, I don't know, I could guess and say $45,000 a year being police chief. I may be wrong. I doubt it. That's just a guess on my part. But he's had a lot of issues. I know he is an alcoholic, and nothing good comes of that. Not a job, not a career to be in if you're an alcoholic. It never works out well. He shouldn't still be in the career. I'm guessing, my guess is this promotion, because I've seen this before, that this promotion that he got was more of to get him out of the position he was in. Yeah, Missy, their law enforcement and their school district admin. Yeah, that's the school district where the August Borden incident occurred, and that whole incident straight corrupt. It's a straight cover up. No way around that. Did they hear about in Mobile, the mom, 17-year-old pregnant daughter? No, I did not. I've not seen that. It sounds horrible. Yeah, I'll definitely have a look at that. Yeah, it sounds horrible. Yeah, Nick Smith trying to bribe the DA. Nothing new to see here. Look, I know I'm going to be rusty tonight, kind of all over the place. So y'all just bear with me. And I do want to talk about this. I learned a long time ago to stop saying unbelievable when it comes to anything to do with Walker County and Sheriff Nick Smith. I know one thing I want to talk about before we get started into anything deep. Well, a few things, actually. So one, Attorney General Steve Marshall, which is Alabama's Attorney General, announces a $12.2 million settlement with Roblox to ensure child safety. So that is awesome. I was very happy to see that. $12 million to Roblox is absolutely nothing, but it's better than nothing for the state of Alabama. Definitely a really great thing done by our current Attorney General. I don't agree with him on some things. Obviously, this I do. And I'm glad that he pushed for this and made this happen. Which they not only will receive the $12.2 million as part of the lawsuit, but also a part of their agreement with Roblox. All users must undergo age verification to ensure children have access only to age-appropriate content on the platform. Roblox has committed to using facial age estimation technology and government-issued ID for age confirmation, and will use behavioral monitoring to identify users who may have been aged incorrectly. The settlement also explicitly addresses privacy concerns related to age verification. Parents will also have expanded control over their children's use of the platform under the agreement. The expansion of parental controls allows parents to decide who their children are talking to and the games they are playing on the platform, as well as restrict the transfer of in-game currency from adults other than trusted connections. In the absence of a parent account, the default content mode provides protections to minor users. Here's the issue with all of those things. They sound awesome. We know Roblox has already committed to some of these things and implemented, and they're not working. So there are people that do know things that will work, and Roblox has so far refused to listen to them. And until they start listening to those people, this is going to continue to happen on Roblox. So as far as these security measures, please don't mistake that for Roblox being any safer than it was a year ago, because it's not. Hopefully Roblox eventually changes that, but again, these things sound great on paper, but some of them are not working already. Child predators know their way around a lot of these things already. They've figured it out, and they will continue to. There is no one way Roblox could fix the problem is to cut chat off. That easy. Instead of trying to be a dating social media website / game, they should be a game if that's what they want to be. And your children are. Let me explain something to you. Same thing that I explained to rookie police officers. A lot of the criminals are smarter than you. And if you don't accept that, you're going to get outsmarted a lot. If you refuse to accept that, you're going to get outsmarted a lot. A lot of your children are smarter than you. And again, if you refuse to accept that, they're going to outsmart you. So you yourself can implement all these things, your children probably already know a way around those. And the reason I say that, one of the main reasons, is it always goes back to the number one thing we as parents have to fully understand and know that is the number one way to keep your child from being a victim, is for them to fully understand that they can be fully open and honest with you no matter what they've done. So, because they're going to figure out ways. I'm telling you, they're smarter than you. The 15-year-old that the story I covered a while back out of New York that had gone missing, and according to his friends, because he was going to meet someone that he met off roadblocks. His parents had implemented all these safety measures, all of them. They thought that they were doing exactly what they needed to do, which they were for the most part. Then when this happened, they found out their son had four secret Roblox accounts that they had no idea about. They got outsmarted. You will too. Your child needs to understand that when they do screw up, they can still come to you and you're going to fix their problem. Doesn't mean there's no consequences, but it means you're going to fix their problem and then y'all go from there. If you want to be this strict parent of, no, you're not going to do this, you better never do this, you better never do that, good luck, because they're going to do it. You're just never going to know about it until it's too late. We have to teach them the best that we can. But at the end of the day, if they know that no matter what they've done, they can come to you and their life's not over and you're going to fix their problem for them because that's what you do. They're your responsibility. At the end of the day, that's what's most important. That they know you love them and that you're going to love them no matter what. No matter how bad of a thing they did. Your 14-year-old daughter sent pictures that you can't believe it. You can't believe she would send. Yeah, that's not good. Again, there's consequences to that. But she needs to know that she can come to you and say, I screwed up big time and I sent these pictures and now I don't know what to do. Because you can fix that. If you're ever in that situation and you don't know how to fix that, message us. We'll tell you how. On that same note, when our website gets up and running, there will be a whole course side to it, as I've explained a little bit before. and I am now currently working on a parent certification course. It's just strictly online, but at some point we'll probably do some in-person classes as well on it. But educating parents on how to steps to take to keep their child from being a soft target to child predators. I think that's very much needed, and I know a lot of people will enjoy that. There's a lot to learn. And so part of that training, you will know what to do. You will know how to fix these things. You will know the things to look for, all that stuff. And it's not going to be some simple hour-long click-through course. It's going to be in depth because that's the way I do things. I want you to actually learn and then tell your friends and family that have children to do the same thing and just educate you. So there's just so much to it. And we've talked about it a lot in the past, and we're going to talk about it a lot in the future. But I'm excited about that course, and it's probably going to actually now be the first course we put out. I'm just really excited about it. And every single day I read more stories and hear more stories, just showing how bad it's needed. And that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we finally got our X account up and going. So make sure you go follow us on X, Agent D Baker. But yeah, and we talk about, again, Daniel Lynn, the guest on the last podcast, is a wealth of information on some of that stuff as well. And he and I have some really deep discussions on that, some of that stuff. And he agrees with everything that I've said before on steps to take. And number one, 16 and under, child should not have social media at all. And there are even ways to check to see if they have social media accounts. And again, all that will be in the course. So again, those are the kind of things that most people don't know about and don't understand, because again, your child's smarter than you. They know how to hide things. They know how to hide things on their phone. They know how to hide things on their phone that is impossible for you to find. Impossible. But we're going to go, again, part of that course, we're going to talk about a lot of those apps. But I've got apps on my phone that I could hide stuff in. It's impossible for anyone to know that the things are in there. Even if you're looking, there's no way. So, I'm 60 and still learning. Yeah, you should learn every single day of your life. That's the problem with a know-it-all. Somebody that knows everything, they're never going to learn anything again for the rest of their life. Somebody that knows everything will end up being the dumbest person you know, because they're not going to listen to anybody because they already know it. The other day, I forwarded you something from the preacher Jamel Brown, the one running for governor. Oh, I've seen that guy. That guy's off the. The guy's. I don't even have a word for him. He's something. So another thing that has recently come up in the news, actually as recent as yesterday. This came out yesterday. And if this stuff turns out to be true, this is horrible. The Southern Poverty Law Center was federally indicted this past Tuesday on federal fraud charges, alleging it improperly raised millions of dollars to pay informants to infiltrate the 3Ks. I don't know if I can say that. It may kick me off. And other extremist groups. The civil rights group faces charges including wire fraud, bank fraud, and conspiracy to commit money laundering in the case brought by the Justice Department in Alabama, where the organization is based. Now, what does that mean exactly? So, what exactly are they alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center did? And again, this is very concerning. Allegedly, they paid at least $3 million between 2014 and 2023 to people affiliated with the 3Ks and the National Socialist Party of America and other extremist groups. In other words, they were trying to think how to word this. They were manufacturing the extremism. Paying sources to stoke racial hatred. Again, if this turns out to be true and that's what they did, it's the end of them. It's the end of the Southern Poverty Law Center. We know this stuff goes on. We know it happened on January the 6th. Again, take politics out of it. I don't care what political party you're affiliated with or whatever, or who you want for president. We know for a fact now that January the 6th insurgents included government paid sources that were paid to go and incite violence. That should never happen in this country. Ever. My opinion, that's a form of treason. 100%. Now, were there people part of the January 6th that were there to do bad things and were not paid informants? Yes. But the fact that there were paid informants there is horrible. Now, why am I talking about that with this? We know this stuff happens. We know that our own government has done it before. We know certain billionaire philanthropist. I told you I was going to struggle tonight. Has paid people to go out and incite violence. And now it appears that the Southern Poverty Law Center itself has done the same thing. Now, here's the thing. If they're having to pay people to go, if they're having to create this extremism themselves, then that means we don't have half a biggest problem with this as we thought. Does that make sense? Because if there's a true problem, they wouldn't be having to pay people to go do it, right? But I hope everyone understands how serious this is and how crazy these allegations are. And being part of federal cases in the past and putting cases together for the assistant U.S. attorneys, they don't take it unless it already has that bow tied nicely on it. So most of the time, when you see federal indictments, there's a lot to it. These are not just some sources that said, hey, this is going on, and the DOJ threw this case together. I guarantee you they have some very hard evidence. Now, I'm sure some people are going to say, no, that's not what they were doing. Yeah, they were paying informants, but it was not for that reason. And I might be inclined to believe you, except for the way they paid these informants. I worked over 10 years, almost 10 years of paying informants with the government. There's a record of everything. It's not like you go grab $10,000 out of a safe and go hand $10,000 in cash to somebody and that's your informant you just paid. No, there's a ton of paperwork that goes along with it. A ton. It's audited, all that stuff. Now, listen to how they were paying these informants. The money was passed from the center through two different bank accounts, through two different ones, before being loaded onto prepaid cards to give to the members of the extremist groups, which also included the National Socialist Movement and the Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club. So, yeah, that's not how you pay informants. If it was legit, they would simply write them a check from the Southern Poverty Law Center. Say, here, and then that informant would go cash the check. That's the way it works. There's no secrets around it, no matter what the movies show you. Now, if we're talking about CIA, that's different. They do things differently. But in the United States, anything part of the DOJ, that's the way it's done. I'm just now reading a statement from the Southern Poverty Law Center in reference to these charges. When we began working with informants, we were living in the shadow of the height of the civil rights movement, which had 7 bombings at churches. So we're going all the way back then and blaming what we've been doing from 2014 to 2022 on that stuff. I can already see, or 2014 to 23, I can already see where this is going. State-sponsored violence against demonstrators and of activists that went unanswered by the justice system. There's no question that what we learned from informants saved lives. That's not the Southern Poverty Law Center's purpose. They're not a federal law enforcement agency. And this is what they're claiming they were doing. The SPLC, which is based in Montgomery, Alabama, was founded in 1971 and used civil litigation to fight white supremacist groups. The nonprofit has become a popular target among Republicans who see it as overly leftist and partisan. Shocking. Turns out it is. They also considered Charlie Kirk's speech to be hate speech, by the way, which is the most ridiculous thing I've heard. But yeah, that's not how you pay informants. That's sketchy as can be. No reason to pay an informant like that. They said they did it that way to protect the safety of informants. Again, there's a way to protect the safety of your informants without paying them this way. That's again, that doesn't make sense. Coming from someone that did that for a living, that doesn't make any sense at all. So don't buy that mess. Anyone that knows what they're talking about can see that, look at that and know that's complete BS. So these statements by the SPLC leads me to definitely believe this stuff is fully true and happened. And that's sad because the Southern Poverty Law Center has done some great things. And should have continued to do great things. Instead, sounds like they were overran themselves by extremists. And it's going to take them down. Like I said, if this stuff turns out to be true, which I don't see how it's not at this point, they're done. That organization's gone, and that's sad. Hopefully someone steps up and creates another organization that will do the same things, same good things that they were doing, but not these horrible, ridiculous things that I hope people go to prison over. And I would be very interested to know who these informants were. Because obviously they were not trained law enforcement, which is a major issue. Because legally, when you were infiltrating any type of criminal organization, there is so much liability involved in that, and the undercover has to know exactly what they can do, what they can't do, the things they can say, the things they can't say. There's a lot to it. It's not as simple as, again, that they make it look on TV. They have to know what they're doing because they have to make sure that they are not creating the stuff themselves, number one. And they have to absolutely make sure that they're not entrapping anyone. It's a very volatile thing to do. And if you don't know what you're doing, a lot of bad things will happen from that. So, and I don't have a clue what kind of sources they were using, who these people were. But again, obviously they were not trained law enforcement personnel that understand how to do these things. So I don't even know if I want to know who they were. That would probably make it so much worse. And that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mean, I'd be curious to know how many different informants this was, which they probably don't even know. There's probably no way of knowing because they didn't do it correctly. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that, and I'm sure more will come out of that. Come out about that, and we'll talk about it in the future. But it's not good. Yeah, I'm going to get up with you, Rayana. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, by the way. No, Katie, we haven't talked about it yet. I haven't, Gloria, but I will look at that. That sounds horrible. So let's talk about Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith and this new stuff, and then we'll talk about the ramp.
To make a few preliminary remarks.
So this is in reference to Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith filed a bar complaint against Walker County District Attorney Bill Adair. So let's pull up the. Let's start with the bar complaint. Oh, hold on, that's not the right. I don't think that's what I want to pull up. All right, let's see. I think this may be it. No, that's not it either. I don't know. I was almost positive I had an actual copy of the bar complaint. What's up, Monica? So Nick Smith filed a bar complaint sometime in the fall of 2025 with the or filed a complaint with the Alabama State Bar against Bill Adair, the Walker County District Attorney. Or it was filed either by Nick Smith or his attorneys. And so I'm trying to find the actual bar complaint because I could have swore I had it. All right, I don't know. It's very frustrating. It's what happens when I have files as big as I do Nick Smith's.
I think it shows, the,
Okay, never mind. I think this is what I was reading. Yeah, so on or about June the 10th, 2025, the sheriff filed a complaint with the Alabama State Bar against District Attorney Adair. The complaint, according to the defendant's motion, was for alleged misconduct by District Attorney Adair during a press conference while announcing the indictments of defendant Smith and Williams, along with the findings of the grand jury. District Attorney Adair addressed that the Department of Justice's investigation into Tony Mitchell's initiated and requested by District Attorney Adair shortly after Mitchell's death would not be affected in any way by the present indictments. The state bar complaint made by the sheriff accusing the district attorney of Alabama bar rules violations stemming from the comments at the press conference was thoroughly reviewed by the Alabama State Bar. Once a complaint is filed, then factually and legally it cannot be withdrawn by the complainant. It must be reviewed by the state bar. Action taken by the state bar is based on the complaint, the response, and the state bar's own investigation. The complaint was determined to be unfounded and was dismissed. It is unknown what initiated the bar complaint, whether it stems from the fact that District Attorney Adair contacted the FBI DOJ following the death of Tony Mitchell due to concerns that federal laws may have been violated, or for other reasons. But you remember how many times has Nick Smith said that he is the one that contacted the FBI? Everyone, we knew that was a joke. So Nick Smith filed this bar complaint in June of 2025 allegedly due to this press conference.
few preliminary remarks. 2.5 years ago, the death of Tony Mitchell in the Walker County Jail
Uh-oh. Where did it go? Let's try this again.
few preliminary remarks. 2.5 years ago, the death of Tony Mitchell in the Walker County Jail triggered a response from my office to begin an investigation into the circumstances of his unlawful death. After the initial few days of my office investigating this matter by interviewing both expert witnesses and event witnesses, and because of the vitiation and occlusion of the investigation, me and my staff concluded that we needed assistance from the FBI and the Department of Justice. Since that time, my office and the federal authorities have been working in a cooperative effort to fully investigate this situation. Now, I want to make this very clear to all the media here and for the citizens of our county. I fully support the Department of Justice and the FBI in their investigation of that matter.
There's video goes along with it, but it's not coming up.
Matters have arisen.
We'll just listen to it.
Both the DOJ and the FBI and my office have consulted about actions that needed to occur in the Tony Mitchell case and on other matters, not just those, but other matters. That is the case on today's announcement. The Department of Justice and the FBI have been consulting and have full knowledge of this investigation and the charges that the grand jury brought. The office to make
Yeah, I don't know why the video wouldn't come up, but you all heard it, hopefully. So that is the press conference that allegedly caused Nick Smith to file a bar complaint against the district attorney. I heard absolutely nothing in that press conference that I would think would cause a complaint. Nothing, which is exactly what the state bar concluded to as well. What this comes down to is, and we know this, Nick Smith will do anything to take someone that speaks out against him down. Anything. And that's concerning for so many reasons. But the fact that he would try this on his district attorney because the district attorney called the FBI in, that in itself should be enough for anyone to look at Nick Smith and say, you're corrupt and you can't be in law enforcement, much less the sheriff of a county. Like, that should concern you so much. But we not only have this, obviously, this is like one of the least serious things that we have on Nick Smith. Now, let's pull up the rest of, and I've been kind of reading along with this stuff as we're going as well, trying to get caught up of exactly what is going on here. So bear with me. So on April the 3rd of 2026, so this month, Nick Smith is alleging that he and his attorneys reached a settlement agreement with District Attorney Bill Adair to resolve the criminal charges against him and Chief Deputy Ralph Williams. Now, those charges were when they were both indicted by the state for one of the reasons was employing sworn deputies that were not certified law enforcement officers. And we've talked about that in great detail before. And also Ralph Williams lying to a post about employing at least one of those deputies. So Nick Smith is claiming that on April the 3rd of this year, that his attorneys and he and his attorneys reached a settlement agreement with Bill Adair, the district attorney, on those charges. The terms of the alleged deal, according to Smith's motion, were the state would dismiss the criminal charges against Smith and Williams with prejudice, meaning the charges could never be refiled. In exchange, Smith's side would withdraw the Alabama state bar complaint that Smith filed against. Holy shit, this just hit me of what this is. Wow. Oh my God, this is wrong on so many levels. This is way worse than I realized, by the way. Way worse. So Nick Smith is saying this idiot, and his attorneys are idiots as well. They're openly admitting to trying to blackmail the district attorney? That's what this is. I'll pull my complaint back if you drop my charges. You can't do that. This is so much worse than I realized. Okay, let's pull these responses. Okay, this is a whole different can. I thought I had a little concept of what was going on here. I did not. Jesus. Okay, so this all makes so much more sense now. All right, so let's get back on this. So, District Attorney Bill Adair is saying there was never any type of agreement comes now, the state of Alabama, and responds to the motion to enforce and states separately and severally as follows. The state is only responding now, blah, blah, blah. There has never been an agreement regarding the resolution of the state's case against Sheriff Nick Smith and Chief Deputy Sheriff Ralph Williams. The defendant's motion is nothing more than a strong-arm tactic wherein the defendant creates his own agreement, then asks the courts to enforce it. This is crazy. District Attorney Bill Adair is the lead prosecutor in the cases against Sheriff Smith and Ralph Williams. Assistant District Attorney Brian Warren is assisting in the prosecution of the state's case. The so-called agreement referenced by Sheriff Smith and recited by the defendant's attorneys in their motion is nothing more than a fanciful, self-serving rendition of an agreement that never existed. The sheriff nor his attorneys have set out and cannot set out the specific terms of an agreement because an agreement did not exist. There is nothing for the court to enforce. This is tantamount to the defendant drawing up a wish list of things that he would dream up to remedy the illegal acts for which he has been indicted. It appears that the only thing the defendant's so-called agreement failed to get was an apology from the state. The thorough and painstaking work that APOST did in their investigation uncovered evidence sufficient for an indictment. Therefore, no agreement would have been considered without the involvement of lead investigators and APOST, as it is an independent agency for whom the state cannot speak. In short, the state of Alabama never entered into the type of so-called agreement that the sheriff's attorneys have asserted. My goodness. Okay. Okay, so the sheriff filed the complaint on June the 10th. Now, what was the date? When was Nick Smith and Williams indicted? So they were indicted on May the 30th of 25. So this is what happened. Because I've been all over the place with this, so I want to, if you're confused, let me break this down very quickly. On May the 30th of 2025, Sheriff Nick Smith and his chief deputy, Ralph Williams, were both indicted by the state. They were both arrested and booked into the Walker County Jail on June the 9th of 2025. On June the 10th, Sheriff Nick Smith filed a complaint with the Alabama State Bar against the district attorney for statements he made during a press conference. No, he filed a complaint because he was pissed that he got indicted. And he runs and tries to file a frivolous complaint against the district attorney that indicted him. I mean, the district attorney didn't indict him, but he brought the charges against him. Grand jury indicted him. But you get what I'm saying. Now, Nick Smith is trying to use that complaint as leverage to get his criminal charges dropped. Which is extremely unethical on both sides. If Bill Adair had anything to do with this agreement, very unethical. It's unethical on both sides. Now, Bill Adair is stating that this agreement never happened, which I tend to believe. Because I don't think Bill Adair is that dumb. Like, you can't put something like that in writing. You can't. He knows that he can't make an agreement like that. That's as unethical as it gets. Not only unethical, it's illegal. I don't even know what to say. This is crazy. All right, so I want to go back and read this other that makes way more sense now. Let's see. So the state bar complaint made by the sheriff accusing the district attorney of Alabama bar rules violations stemming from the comments of the press conference was thoroughly reviewed by the Alabama State Bar. Once a complaint is filed, then factually and legally it cannot be withdrawn by the complainant. That's why it says, let me make that point again. Under state bar rules, the complaint cannot be withdrawn. So, again, Bill Adair knows that. So why would he make this agreement knowing that it would be impossible for Nick Smith to withdraw the complaint? On top of knowing it would be an illegal agreement. And on top of that, Nick Smith is stating now that they followed their end of the bargain, which is impossible. They can't. And is trying to force the district attorney to follow their end of the bargain. I was trying to clear all that up. I may have just confused you more because this is crazier than it sounds. But I hope that makes sense. We know Nick Smith is he's an idiot. I mean, the man literally has not much sense. He has done some of the dumbest things I've ever seen from a law enforcement leader, by far. He has put out some of the most ignorant, dumbest political campaign videos I've ever seen. The statements he has made is crazy. But now I'm realizing his attorneys are just as ignorant. I wonder if his attorneys are the same or running his campaign as well. That would make sense. If you still vote for Nick Smith for sheriff, there is literally no hope for you in life. There's no other way for me to put that. If you still vote for him after all of this, after everything, I don't know how you've made it this far in life. But there's no hope for you. None. Like, that's all I'm going to say. All right. Man, I'm dumbfounded. We're going to change gears for a second. I want to show y'all this video. Especially if you are in law enforcement, please listen to this. The amount of police officers in my career that I've had to have this argument with, not a lot, because most are not that dumb. But I've had to have the argument before. It is not illegal in any way whatsoever no, that's not the way to word it. If you arrest someone for saying a curse word, you are violating their constitutional rights. Let me say that again. If you arrest someone for saying a curse word, you are violating their constitutional right, no matter what the context is. The United States Supreme Court ruled a long time ago. I used to know this stuff like the back of my hand. 1970 something. That you cannot do that. That's when they made it extremely clear, anyway. This video I'm about to show you unfortunately proves that there's still some that don't understand that. They will learn, because the officers involved in this arrest are going to get sued and they're going to lose. No way around that. This city just cost themselves a lot of money. They fell right into this guy's trap. And I don't understand how you could be so dumb. I don't understand how you could be so ignorant to fall right into this guy's trap. He knew what he was doing, and they fell right into it. It is not illegal in any context, in any place, for you to stand up and say the word fuck. It's not. And if you arrest someone for that, you are violating their constitutional rights. Just because you don't like that word does not mean it's illegal. This is not Germany in 1941. Arresting someone for saying the word fuck is pretty equivalent to how the Germans did back then. Oh, I don't like that word. You can't say it, or we're going to throw you in jail. This is the United States of America. It blows my mind. There are still, again, not many, but there are still some police officers in this country that don't understand that very, very freaking simple thing. It's unbelievable that some still don't. Do you understand that's a made up bad word? That some certain people at some point decided, hey, that's a bad word? That's it. That's all it is. If you could arrest someone for saying that word, then you could arrest someone for saying the word moist. A lot of people don't like that word for some reason. But you can't arrest somebody for saying it. There's no difference in those two words as far as legally. None. None. Test. Where did the... You got to be kidding me. Where's the audio now? The other one, we didn't have video. We had audio, and now we've got video and no audio. This is killing me. What's going on here?
I will be asked to leave.
Okay, here we go.
And just to reiterate, you said any obscene or vulgarity, I will be asked to leave. Is that correct? How in the fuck are you going to tell me at a public meeting?
You're out.
So you're going to actually physically remove me. All right. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, oh.
We're continuing on with some normal business now, boy.
They're all laughing up right now. They just paid for that guy's great grandkids' college. Because he said a word they didn't like. Think about that. Because he said a word they didn't like. And it's all funny to him. While this guy's laughing all the way to the bank. Again, he knew what he was doing. The fact that they fell right into that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now, we need to discuss the opioid.
I'm still trying to verify, and this is out of Mississippi, and I'm going to get it verified. I believe that is the actual sheriff. This is out of Union County, Mississippi. But I believe that is the actual sheriff.
Is this the right one?
No, Burns got it.
Whose is this one?
That's his.
And just to reiterate, you said any obscene or vulgarity, I will be asked to leave. Is that correct? How in the fuck are you going to tell me at a public meeting?
You're out.
You can't do that. That dumbass sheriff is what gives law enforcement a bad name to certain people. Because some people look at that and think all law enforcement is just ignorant and dumb. Well, they're not. Most are not. Yeah, that's okay. I was verifying. Yes, that is the actual sheriff. And I may have said city earlier. but that county. That county just lost a lot of money. Probably a lot of money that they don't have as a very small Mississippi county in Mississippi. But that is Sheriff Jimmy Edwards of Union County, Mississippi. And he just cost his county a lot of money. And people voted for that guy. Your sheriff elections are extremely important. An actual sheriff that doesn't understand that very simple concept there was a certain agency that I worked for a very short time. And to say this agency had problems, my God. I'd not been there long, and there was some protest going on. And a lieutenant at that agency I was standing around the crowd, and I heard a lieutenant, on-duty lieutenant, tell a person that was part of that protest, if you say that word one more time, you're going to jail. And I said, no, you're not. And I had to pull him to the side. And I said, what are you doing? If they say that word again, I'm taking them to jail. I said, no, you're not. And the most concerning statement he made, and I'll never forget it. He said, well, I have before. I said, that's not shocking. So we had to go back to the office and sit down, and I had to explain all this to him, and I had to read him a fucking constitutional law. A lieutenant that had been in law enforcement almost 30 years. And I saved that agency a lot of money that day. A lot. Because the person that said that word knew what they were doing as well. And if I had not been standing there, that idiot lieutenant would have fallen into the same trap. Just because you don't like a word, get over yourself. There's way more important things in life you need to be looking at and paying attention to than somebody using a word that you don't like. It's a word. Get over yourself. just know most law enforcement officers are not dumb like that, and most know what they're doing, especially sheriffs. I know we talk about Nick Smith all the time, and I mean, he's dumb. He's ignorant. We've talked about the Charlotte, North Carolina sheriff who literally don't know the three branches of government. And now we have this sheriff. So I don't want people to start thinking, well, all sheriffs must just be dumb like that. They're not. Most know what they're doing. Most are very intelligent. But there are some that we need to get rid of. Nick Smith's one of the worst for a lot of reasons. And he's our main focus. And we're going to get him out of office. And then we'll move on to the next dumb one. Because obviously there's more. If you are in law enforcement, you are responsible for knowing case law. You have to study and read and look up case law every single week of your career. And if you don't, you're going to violate someone's rights. If you're not willing to do that, then you're in the wrong career. It's no different than a lawyer and a doctor. You have to keep up with the changes. New case law comes out all the time. You have to know it. Not only do you have to know the new case law, you have to know the prior old case law that goes back years. It's one of the most important parts of your job. Know it. Quiz your coworkers on it all the time. If you're an FTO, know this stuff and teach it to the rookies. Because they don't learn on this stuff, and police academies are a joke. Police academies a complete joke. Anyone in law enforcement knows that. They're a complete joke. It is up to you as an officer to educate yourself and keep yourself educated. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And when you violate someone's rights just because you didn't know case law, that's nobody's fault but yours. Should your agency be making sure that you're up to date on all this stuff? Yes. But is it their full responsibility? No, it's yours. It just blows my mind that we're still seeing these things like this in today's time. Like that video I just showed you. It blows my mind. An actual sheriff forcibly arrested someone, took away their freedom because they said a word he didn't like. Should never happen in this country. All right, so on to, we can talk about the cult. Like I said, I'm still getting caught up with everything. I know I've received a lot of information. I don't really know any new information that I feel comfortable enough to talk about right now. but we still have a long way to go there. They're more likely than not, there are still children getting harmed in that cult. And we've got to do everything we can to get that stopped. If you're new here, please follow or subscribe, depending on whatever platform you're on. If you're not a subscriber on the YT, please go do that. I'm trying to build that page up. I would really appreciate that. We also finally got our X account up and running today, so make sure you go follow us there. And that's Agent D Baker, just like it is everywhere else. I've also created a separate new Facebook page that's under the name Agent D Baker. So make sure you go follow that page as well. We're working on getting our website up and running, and the new course. Trying to decide if I want to go ahead and release the name of the course because I'm excited about it. Let me see. Predator Proof. Predator Proof will be the name of that course. And I'm also looking to... I've got some real big plans, as always. But in regards to this, because, again, there's just so much more and more coming out every day, and there's such a huge need of education on this stuff. And so we're also going to be working on putting together a full curriculum on Predator Proof there's a few different ways that it can go, and that the way it goes is going to depend on a lot of other outside factors that we're going to have to see about. But at least for teachers, school officials, where they can go through this full curriculum and have a certification in Predator Proof. And so this is this is not just a small course we're putting together. Again, this is something really big, and I want to turn it into something. I have to be careful with the way I say this. Everyone's heard of the DARE program that they have. They still have it in some places, but it's been a real big thing for years in schools. And it helps spread awareness to children about the harmful effects of drug use. And there's also a certification program that law enforcement officers can go through and be certified in teaching that, and they go to the schools and they teach it. So that is the exact same concept that I want to have with Predator Proof. But instead of drug side, teaching them internet safety and how to be hard targets against child predators. So again, we have big plans for that, but it just depends. There's some outside forces that where it'll fully depend on exactly which direction we go. But I'm going to be putting a lot into that in the near future for sure, and getting that all put together. And again, but I have big plans for it. And so the funds that we profit from when I get the course put out, the funds that we profit from that course is going to go all into that program to build that program up to where I want it to be, to where I see it, to that full certification program, and then we'll go from there. But I really think we can start something big and create a national education movement in this that is very much needed across this country. And so again, a lot of big plans. And I haven't forgotten about why we started all of this either. So please don't misunderstand me. It's just as of right this second, there's such a huge need for this that it's taken priority over the missing persons stuff at this moment. But we're not forgotten about that. I'm not going to forget about that. We are going to get to that. But again, there's currently children being harmed across this country every single day. And that takes priority right now. I hope everyone can understand that. But anyway, I appreciate each and every one of you for being on. Again, I apologize for being missing a week. Thankfully feeling a lot better. And hopefully that won't happen again, because that puts me so far behind. But we're back at it, and we're going to be going strong. And I will see y'all back Friday night. And Friday night we'll have a really well planned out live. Again, just trying to get back into it tonight. Make sure you check out the new full podcast that was released today on Camille Place. Again, you can find that wherever you find your podcast. And if there's anything I can do for you all, don't hesitate to let me know. I know I've got a lot of people to get back to, and I will be getting back to you as soon as I can. The live Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time. And other than that, I hope y'all have a great rest of your Wednesday night. Welcome to Truth Recon. I'm Agent D. Baker, former narcotics detective, SWAT team member, and U.S. Navy combat veteran. With years of real-world experience in high-stakes environments, I've seen firsthand the dangers that lurk both in our communities and now increasingly online. Before this show begins, understand this. What you are about to hear may be disturbing to some audiences. This podcast contains explicit language, dark themes, and real conversations that are not suitable for children and may